Alright, welcome back to Hecht Speed. So we got a new project on the bench. If you watched the last video, I talked a little bit about it, but yeah, the garage is looking a lot nicer than the Bearcat update video. Had to do some cleanup work. In case you missed that one, we're going to be putting this DLE 222 into my Bearcat. That's the wing right there. There she is hanging up, staying out of the way for the moment. But this is the new Hangar 9 MB339. So picked this airplane up for a few different reasons. One is I wanted to get something that my son could fly and get his turbine waiver with and enjoy flying when we go to jet events and stuff together, and just flying in general together. But anyways, I got it for him, for me. The MB339, this particular model was designed for newer jet pilots. They really wanted this to be people's first jet to get experience in the jet arena, so turbine powered stuff. You could potentially make this EDF if you wanted to. There's a couple different options to do that, but it's primarily designed to be a turbine powered model. So the reason I picked this one, a couple different reasons. I'm a Horizon team pilot, so I wanted something that I could take to events and represent the company with. Two, like I said, I wanted my son to have something he could learn how to fly turbines on. He's a pretty accomplished EDF pilot, but I thought it'd be cool to get him some more time flying turbines and flying a model that's docile and forgiving and maybe not as stressful as flying something scale like the big T-38 or the P-59, something that's not easily replaced. So this being a sport flyer slash jet trainer, I figured it'd be perfect for him. And also, it's meant to be enjoyable for new jet pilots, but also guys with experience. It's a very capable aerobatic platform. It's basically a sport model that looks like a scale trainer. So it's capable of doing a lot of some aggressive maneuvers, but mostly just kind of like your basic aerobatic type maneuvers, but doing it really well. You can see here it's got a symmetrical airfoil and all that, so it's a super light wing loading and really well designed. And yeah, Horizon did a great job on this model, and honestly, I'm super impressed with the quality of the parts that I'm seeing. And you know, they wanted this airplane to be robust but also lightweight and easy to assemble and easy to fly and all that, so I think they hit the mark there. So from what I've seen on the videos and stuff, it looks like a fantastic flying airplane. So it's a very complete kit. All you need to do, or all you need to buy to finish it, is a turbine, servos, and a receiver basically. You'll need servo extensions and stuff, which I have to order still, but and I'm waiting on 4 more servos. So these are the servos I'm using on the tails. I'm using all the recommended servos. So it's the Spectrum A5080. It's like a mini size, not quite standard size, high torque servo. And then the wings use all standard size servos. So you can use whatever you want, but it's kind of designed around the Spectrum servos. So, and I'll be using the new Spectrum Synapse gyro receiver. So that'll be fun to experiment with and learn how to use. I'll probably end up putting one of those in the T-38 at some point, and probably the Bearcat. So and the P-59 could really use a gyro in the wind. It gets into a pretty bad Dutch roll situation with gusty wind conditions. It kind of wallows all over the place at low speed. So anyways, enough of that. But this is a very straightforward assembly. Like I said, everything's pre-packaged, super nice. All the hardware you need, obviously. Fuel tank, comes with a tailpipe. And the price range of this model, I think it's just under $1,600. And you get the landing gear with it. So these are spare tires. Electric gear, obviously we're in the 21st century, I guess. So super nice electric units. Struts, obviously, rubber tires, like really high-end type stuff here. These are really cool. They got the servo mounts on the nose gear itself, which makes the steering setup super nice. So, and then comes with a controller to control the gear and the brakes all in one, which is super cool. And then here's one of the mains. So brakes, obviously, since turbine model, super robust. This model's made for beginners, knowing that it's going to need to take some abusive landings perhaps. So it's a really well designed model. I'll show you guys some detailed stuff inside here in a second, but it's pretty sweet. So basically the construction or the assembly of this model is just hinging everything, installing servos, installing landing gear, turbine, get the pipe in, get the fuel tank in. It does come with a pretty nice fuel tank, pretty good size. Should get probably 8 to 10 minute flight times, which would be nice. It's got strings run through everything to pull wires through. One of the things I really like about it is it has this sheathing in here that is for all your wires and stuff, which is super nice. There is multiple hatches, so this is like the turbine access hatch. There's one underneath too, that's for like all your wing bolts and stuff, and you're putting the wings on. So this model is actually, so it's balsa wood construction for the most part. It's balsa skinned, but has a lot of carbon fiber too. So you'll see, like, this plate is a carbon sandwich, so it's plywood with carbon on both sides. All the assembly, so this forward fuselage comes off, and so what you're seeing right here is actually like a printed on foam covering basically for the inside of the balsa wood. It's an interesting construction method, but let me go aside so we can get some sunlight in here. But as you can see, we got more of the carbon fiber, the actual carbon fiber, this plate right here. Carbon fiber reinforced plywood everywhere. And one of the cool things about it is that I didn't even know this until I started looking into it. It doesn't have plywood or balsa stringers. It has carbon fiber stringers. You can see right there, that's a carbon rod. That's one of the stringers. So super nice construction. I'm actually, for the price point of this model, I'm actually pretty shocked at how nice the model is. Like, just the build quality, the construction method, the materials used. I mean, $1,600 with landing gear and brakes and your tailpipe and fuel tank and all that. I mean, and it's already pre-covered. It is more expensive than some of the other entry-level models. There are a number of like entry-level stuff for turbines. Most of those are foam though, or composite, but maybe not super high-end, like not real nice composite. And this kind of falls in line, like in the middle of like some of the composite beginner jets and like the foam ones. So the foam ones are fine. They fly decent. They fly well. They're definitely a more affordable way to get into flying turbines. While I do have plenty of foam models, they just don't fly as nice as wood or composite airplanes. And you can argue with me all day long, and I'm still gonna maintain that attitude. They just aren't stiff as a balsa or composite model, so they aren't as precise in the air as a composite or a built-up wood airplane. So anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. So this is the beginning of the assembly, and so I'm going to start gluing some hinges and getting some servos installed, and hopefully the next update will be at least the tails finished. Like I said, I'm waiting on my standard servos for the wings, and I need to get all my extensions ordered up, that way I can assemble this thing. But really, this should go pretty quick. I mean, once everything's hinged and I glue in all the has these like really nice composite control horns. They're double horns for each surface, which is cool, and has ball links and everything for all the control surfaces. So, you know, in a lot of cases, when you buy ARFs, a lot of the times some of the hardware that they come with is substandard or mediocre at best, or kind of chintzy. This model was designed to where you don't have to replace anything. You can use everything they include in the kit, and it's all going to work perfectly fine. they didn't want this model was kind of over designed strength wise, just because they know some guys are going to want to put huge turbines in these things, which is pretty silly for a model like this. This is more of a trainer sport flyer than a aggressive sport super fast flying model. It's got a big thick wing on it. I'd imagine they probably did thick wings and tails to keep the speeds reasonable. They don't want, this isn't a super fast model. So, and you know, same with the inlets and stuff. They definitely work, but they're not optimized for speed. And that's probably to keep people from blowing the airplanes apart, because they want to go 250 miles an hour. So I would imagine this is about a 150 mile an hour model, which is plenty fast enough, especially for the newer guys. So anyways, enough my yammering on here. Let's get cracking on this thing. All right, so it's been a few days since I've worked on the airplane, but I got the tails all done. They're hinged, servos are in, all that jazz. They're not obviously fully installed yet. I'm waiting on my servo extensions to get here so I can run all the wires and get everything permanently installed. So I'm working on the wings. I'm actually watching this super cool documentary on the X1. It's pretty neat. Anyways, I just got done gluing the hinges in. I'm also waiting on my servos from Horizon, so for the time being, because I really want to fly this thing this weekend, I got an event next weekend for jets, and so I wanted to have this thing there. So I don't know when the servos are showing up. So in the meantime, I'm going to run some Pro Modeler servos, which is what I have in my T38. These are out of my Panther. I really like them. They work pretty good. So, but I have some Spectrum servos coming, some high voltage servos. So at some point I'll swap them out once they show up. But anyways, for now I'm going to run those, and they work great, so I'm not worried about it. But I got everything glued. I need to glue in the horn still for the aileron. But anyways, yeah, so I got my hardware here. Everything's going super smooth. Nothing to complain about yet. Still super impressed with the way things are going together. So let's get this wing finished up and get onto the other wing. I did install the servo for the nose gear steering. And I had a Spectrum servo for it, but it fits in the slot, but the holes didn't line up, which I thought was odd. So anyways, I'm running a Hi-Tech 225, which, you know, it's nose steering, so not a huge deal. Anyways, yeah, so we'll keep on cruising, and hopefully we'll have this thing pretty much put together today. And I'd love to get this turbine installed and get it test run maybe today or tomorrow. So hoping to fly it Saturday or Sunday. So yeah, let's keep cruising. Great movie if you haven't seen it, Devotion. Anyways, yeah, so we're just about wrapped up with the left wing here. I got the gear installed, all the wires run out the back here. Like I said, I'm using these servos temporarily until I get my Spectrum ones, but I have it set up. So especially when it comes to flaps, especially large flaps like this, but I pretty much try and do this with all my flaps. So when I get the desired angle on the flap, which is close to 45 degrees on this, I like to have the arm straight out in line with the push rod. So what that does is it takes all the load off the servo. You can push as hard as you want, and it's not loading the motor on the servo. So it does obviously put pressure through the arm and all that, but it takes the load off the motor, so you're not drawing a bunch of amps with your flaps down. So, as you know, you're gonna have them down continuously for a decent amount of time, and you don't want to burn the servo up, cause a short in the system, and basically kill your radio, which kills your airplane. So we don't want to do that. So anyways, obviously I'll have to adjust my endpoints because it has a little more throw to go in the up position. I'm just using a servo tester. So anyways, that's how I set my flaps up. And so far I've done everything to the book. I mean, haven't done any modifications. It's all worked really well. So if you guys know me, you know that I like to modify stuff. I prefer not to if I don't have to. And so far everything's been working out really well. So I am going to be running one of these connectors on each wing just to make it easier to plug it all together, so I am going to have to do some cutting and soldering for the landing gear. So these are JST connectors, so I'm going to have to do some soldering and stuff on those, hook them into these, and get all that situated. But that'll just make hooking this up and taking it to the field a lot more enjoyable. So it's a pain in the butt when you got a bunch of different wires to connect. I know it's not a huge deal, first world problems, but you know, when it comes to field assembly, it makes it really nice to be able to just have one clip, a couple of screws, and you're ready to go. So that's where we're at. Obviously the aileron servo is in. That's all good to go. So this wing is just about wrapped up, minus getting these wires hooked up to these. So that's where we're at. Alright guys, there we have it. So this side is all complete. I got my wire harness modified for the quick connects. Got the intakes on. Everything's all buttoned up. Tip tanks on, and yeah, looking good. So on to the right wing. Alright, so the table's getting messier, but we're making progress. I got the wings all done. Tanks are on. I got the connectors, oh boy, getting old, all set up here. So we'll have quick connects with the gear and brakes and the flaps and ailerons all tied in together, which is nice. So I finally got the elevator wires and rudder wires run up to the front. The kit comes with this really nice temperature protected sheathing here to keep the servo wires safe from the exhaust temperature. So see, I got my Spectrum extensions run out here. I got the tailpipe installed. That was super easy. Just goes pretty much all the way back. And then it comes with this neat little shield that you install here. Just a couple of screws. See them right there in those tabs. I did have to do a small amount of sanding on this rear bulkhead to get the pipe to slip through, but as you can see, it's a nice snug fit. Nice and sweet. So that was actually, that took less time than getting these servo wires running through the fuselage. So I got the turbines ready to bolt in, but I'm gonna do the fuel tank first. And the fuel tank comes with some super nice hardware. We have a filtered clunk here, which is super cool, and then we have metal hardware for the stopper, which is nice, not plastic crap. So I got my safety wire here. I'm gonna run a couple of hoses. I gotta bend the one wire or the one tube up for the vent, but yeah, it's moving along quick now. So I knew the wings would be the long straw there. So once we get the wings done, which they're done now, everything else should be pretty simple. So I got my UAT, which I've had this forever. I actually got that when I bought my fuel jug from a buddy. He had it and he sold it to me with the jug. So anyways, let's get this fuel tank put together and put in the plane. We'll strap the turbine in, then just nose gear install, and then receiver, run all the wires and everything, and start the setup process. Alright, so got it all set up. You see I got wire ties. I got the vent line bent up, just kind of looking at it. See, you want it to be as close to the roof of the tank as possible so you can get the most fuel in the tank as you can. But that's pretty much it. So install it and snug your bolt up, but not too tight, because you'll compress the rubber so much you'll break the seam on the tank. So snug is good. So yeah, that's it for the tank. Alright guys, so this is the fuel tank mount. So it uses these little finger screws to hold it in place. You can get a good look at the structure in here. It's a really well designed model. I'm super happy with the way it's all going together. A couple little things here and there, but I mean, overall it's pretty sweet. So let's get this tank dropped in here and strapped in with the included zip ties, and we'll move on. Alright, so tank's installed. I got the vent set up, the air trap set up. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put the pump. I could probably put it in here, but it's kind of hard to get to the screws and stuff, so we'll see. Might end up be somewhere up here in the forward fuselage section. It'd be nice to keep it all kind of just back and away from the radio and everything, but yeah, it's all ready to go. At some point I'll replace this with a full line. I didn't have enough of this, so I'm gonna test this out, make sure it flows well enough. It should be fine. These motors don't draw a ton of fuel, so the fuel draw is pretty slow, even at full power, all things considered. So this should be fine. Yeah, so I got my filler here, and this is the supply from the tank to the UAT, and goes to the pump, and the pump will go back to the motor. So that's it for the tank. It's all strapped in and ready to go. So I guess now I need to figure out where the pump is going, and then get the nose gear installed, get the turbine installed, get the nose installed to the rear fuselage, and then it's a matter of running wires and getting the receiver all set up. So it's moving pretty quick now. I'm glad the hinging and servo install's over, but yeah, it's looking pretty good. Pretty excited. Alright, so I've skipped some steps on you guys, but I installed the nose gear. I got the receiver mounted. If you missed, this is the new Synapse gyro receiver from Spectrum. I got the ECU installed, the retract and brake unit installed. The fuel system is fully plumbed. I got my valve here. The filter is in the middle here, and then the turbine's installed. Easy peasy. Fuel line hooked up. Tank strapped in. Air traps strapped in, and so now what I got to do is get all my servo extensions run to the receiver. This one for the rudder ended up a little bit short, so that's kind of a bummer. My nose gear is a little short too. So anyways, I got to round up some extensions and get all this stuff sorted out. So I do have obviously you have to run each individual harness to the wing. Yeah, nothing too crazy left, just wires and stuff. The airplane is basically assembled. I got to put the ventral fins on it. I have to glue the fin on still. That one doesn't get bolted on, it's glued on, so got a piece of tape holding out for now. I actually contemplated just putting some tape on the seam to hold it on, but I'll probably glue it. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's just radio setup stuff now, so that's all the boring stuff, so let me get back to it. Guys, next morning, pretty much done with the airplane. I got to do a CG check and get some Velcro in the nose where all the batteries go. But I've done all the servo setups on everything, the gyro setup. Had to update my transmitter so I could use a newer style receiver. But anyways, you can see I got the Easy Connects here. Those are super sweet, so that'll make putting this thing together really nice. It's just got two hand screws, like plastic screws, on each side for the wings to hold the wings together, and I got these two quick connects right here, and that's it at the field. That'll be nice. So it does come with this vent for the tank, which is pretty cool. I have to run the last antenna still. You can see the wire hanging down right here. I've already run the other antennas in the nose. I'll flip it over and show you guys that. I need to bolt the ventral fins on really quick, and yeah, other than that, it's coming together pretty good. So stoked. Alright, so one of the neat features about the retract controller for this model is that you can power it on separately from the radio, and it has a little button that you can cycle the gear just with a battery plugged into it, which is pretty cool. So anyways, what I'm doing right now is I've actually put some lead in the nose. These things take about 8 ounces or so. Crock shot. About 8 ounces or so of lead weight in the nose. So I smashed out and kind of cut some pieces that match that forward bulkhead, so the tire goes right up to it, and then there's a couple little chunks on the roof of the nose. So it's about 8 ounces, and yeah, so once that's cured, I think this thing is ready to go. So you can see I got the ventral fins on, I got the vertical glued on now, and I got those little antennas glued on to the tail. So anyways, at some point I want to make gear doors for this thing, at least partials. Definitely nose doors, just would look a lot nicer. But anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to flip it over and show you guys the final radio install as soon as this epoxy's done curing. You see my chunks of lead. I got a piece of lead on this forward bulkhead, and then I got a couple little chunks right there. So yeah, let's flip it over. All right, so here's the final setup. I got the Synapse gyro mounted close to the CG as I can. I got the ECU for the turbine. We have the new 20-channel receiver. I got landing gear pack, turbine pack, two 2S Lifey 33 or 3000 milliamp packs for the receiver, and made a little carbon bracket to hold the power button. Got it cleaned up pretty well. I got the landing gear controller back here, and yeah. So next thing I got to do is put some fuel in this thing and do a test run on the motor and make sure everything's good there. And we'll pretty much double check everything after that and consider it ready to fly. Alright guys, there you have it. Got the motor test run and adjusted properly for the transmitter, and rather sweet. We'll swim in ADB. Alright guys, that about wraps it up for this video. Next video you'll see we'll be at the field getting ready to mate this thing. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. That's an ad. When I was setting up the flap and elevator mix, I discovered, and I think it's a new feature on the update that I just get on my transmitter. There's a bunch of new features, and I haven't updated my iX20 since I bought it like a year ago. So that's my bad. But I discovered that you can set up crow with your flaps, which is super cool. So I did put a little bit of crow in there, not a ton, just a little bit, just to help avoid tip stalls. Not that this model has issues tip stalling on landing, but it'll help that much more, especially with newer guys trying to land this thing, aka my son, or the people who are going to be flying the airplane. So I did add some crow in. I got the elevator mix dialed in with the flaps. Let's see. Oh, the new update for this particular receiver and all that for the transmitter, you can actually turn the airplane off on the transmitter, which is kind of neat. So anyways, like I said, the airplane's all set up. You guys just saw a test run, and I taxied it around a little bit, checked the brakes. The brakes are fully adjustable left and right, which is pretty cool. So if it's pulling to one side, you can tweak your bias a little bit. So that's really nice. So the airplane is ready to go. I double checked the CG. I'm right at 6 inches, which is the aft end of the CG range, which is where I know I already want to start, because I already know that I like things pretty neutral. So anyways, super excited about this. It's going to be a really fun airplane, and I do plan on doing some sort of repaint, maybe just a scuff job and then a camouflage or something on the top. I even thought about doing like a what if scheme. I thought about doing something like my T-38, so American markings white with day glow on the wings and the tail and the nose. Thought that would look kind of cool. I mean, the airplane looks like an American type airplane trainer, if you will. Thought about doing like a, A37 camouflage scheme on it, something like that, or maybe even a T-33 scheme. I don't know. There's so many MB339s out there. It's hard to be unique. There are some neat schemes, but anyways, we're gonna fly it stock for a while as is. But yeah, super pumped about this one. Airplane went together really well. I think I got about 25 hours in it, maybe tops. The assembly went really, really clean. There was just a few little things that weren't a huge deal, but I was able to work through it and figure it out, no problem. One of which is the wire for the nose gear that goes to the gear controller box. You have to reverse it. So the nose gear was going down when the mains were going up. So it's just a DC motor, so you swap the polarity on the connector and then it's fine. So you just turn the connector around and plug it in backwards for the nose gear unit. Other than that, it really went together well. I mean, I didn't have any issues. I used all the factory equipment, so I didn't change any of that. So super stoked with it. Can't wait to fly it. And Bentley is really excited too. So we'll see you guys Sunday when we take this thing out to fly. And hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one.